Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
Okay, welcome. We are glad you're here. This show is called Cashflows. My name's Cash Matthews, and we have a great show for you this evening. You know, in life, it is so easy to get stuck or stranded or not be going at the speed that you would like to. And we have a philosophy here called Fire, Aim, Ready. And I think if you look at your life, way too many people get stuck up in this idea of ready, aim, 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 and they never actually pull the trigger. And one of the things that I talk about is don't go to the grave with the music still in you. And too many people go to the grave, you know, and all these wonderful poems and songs and jokes and cures for diseases and philosophies, they're going in the ground. And I think more of us need to, I think we need to be more proactive in fulfilling, it's just not logical that God would give us these wonderful, beautiful imaginations and not give us the ability to succeed at some of these things. And, and I don't think God needs to steer a parked car, but, when you get in action, I think that's when things happen. And that's why we came up with Fire, Aim, Ready. And we believe in copying off your neighbor. Third grade, that's not such a good idea, but in 20th grade, it's a really great idea as you become an adult to find somebody that is on the path you're on, but maybe a few chapters ahead of you. And that's the essence of Fire, Aim, Ready. And if we are ready now, we would like to introduce our executive producer, Mr. Kenneth B.O.N.G. Kenneth.
How's it going, Cash?
Best day ever.
Good.
It's, yeah, it was a pretty good day. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I've been having fun. I'm super excited that here we are. We're over the tipping point.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We were excited when we hit 50 episodes. It's like, okay, we're halfway to 100.
Yeah.
Now we're over 100. We're recording number 101 today.
On the 101, man, that is awesome.
All in support of our local Tulsa area business owners and entrepreneurs. Yeah. And, there's been a lot of great tips shared on the show. And I was thinking maybe we could come back to one of those today. Tell us a little bit about networking, Cash.
So that's actually a very great question because, people talk about and strive for word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And word of mouth marketing is networking.
Right.
It's people who know people that are willing to share those people with their own world. The problem with networking, and a lot of people do it, and we're part of this thing called the B.O.N.G group, the Business Owners Networking Group. If you're a weed junkie, not your kind of deal. I don't know. Marijuana is legal, so I guess we could start selling it.
Well, that's one way.
They have high profits.
That's okay.
Lots of networking involved in
yes. But networking is spelled almost like not working. And I'm a big believer in networking intentionally and not just going to collect a whole bunch of business cards. And, part of my goal in networking, Kenneth, was to create referral partners who, when they wake up in the morning, I'm on their list that day because they want to help me succeed. And, I want to help them succeed. And that's the essence of networking. And we're not going to go into how to network completely. What I will tell you is you can reach out to me or Kenneth B.O.N.G at Cashflows at TulsaB.com, Cashflows at TulsaB.com, and we'd be more than happy to meet with you or visit with you about how we do networking. But here are the results. We started this Tulsa B.O.N.G a couple of years ago with 3 people. In minutes, it will be over 6,000 people, 1,000 daily guests. Last year, we did approximately $10 million worth of new revenue among our members. And it's been phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And it's all based on this premise of people buy from, as you said it, Kenneth, people buy from others that they know, that they like, that they trust.
Right.
When going to a networking group, though, it's problematic. If you go in and there's 20 people there and you ask this question, how many people are here today to sell something? All 20 hands should go up.
Right.
Then you have to ask this question, on the other hand, how many of you came here today to buy something? And the overwhelming odds are that nobody came there to buy something. Everybody went there to sell something. So you've got a group of men and women, and they're all wonderful. Mm-hmm. They all have great products.
Right.
But nobody's there to buy anything. And there's this friction that happens. If you want to put an end to the friction, just go to make friends. Go to make acquaintances. Your friends will lift you up. As Kyle Sullivan, Unleash the Champ, says, show up, meet people, make friends, and the money will follow.
That's right.
So there we have it. So that's the best tip I can give you, and I'd love to network with you. Or if you're a fishing or golf guy, I'd love to not work with you. So that's true. That has multiple implications. So our guest today is Kristi Bridges, and I'm excited about this. We're going to introduce her here in a moment. But she's one of the people that we met through this bong idea. Here's how you know it works. It's freezing outside, and she's here.
Yeah,
like we have factual, real evidence. It's scientific.
I believe it.
Okay. So, Kristi Bridges, welcome to the Cashflows Show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Man, we're glad you're here. This is going to be a great 3.5 hours we've dedicated to this show.
You have already hit on something that I believe strongly.
Yeah. Well,
when you said fire, aim, ready,
yeah.
that is actually how I help people.
Right.
Because everybody says, oh, I've got a story. Someday I should write a book, but nobody ever actually gets around to it because they're never ready.
Right.
So I just talk to them and record it.
I think that's the best thing
draft.
to do is just talk to people. I think it is. I think it's the smartest thing to do. It's free. It's cheap. It's easy, and it begins with "Hey."
Yeah.
And one of my favorite questions to ask is, "Hey, what's your story?" Love to hear your story. Because stories are important, Kenneth. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this the other day. Somebody here was talking about Titanic, and everybody knows the end of the story.
Yeah.
Like, hey, but they could come out on the stage before the movie and go, hey, quick primer for the movie. It's a big ship full of people a long time ago, some really rich people, a couple of poor people, and then the ship goes down and everybody dies.
Right.
Or, almost everybody. But people want to hear the story.
Yeah.
Even when they know the ending, they still want to hear the story, and we have to become masters at sharing our story.
Yeah. And
so it sounds like you're going to talk about your website for your business is onemomentwiser.com.
That's right.
And I'm going to spell it out. It's the number 1, momentwiser.com. And you can find Kristi Bridges there. You can also find Kristi on the Tulsa B.O.N.G page. You can also find her, that's the Tulsa B.O.N.G Facebook page. You can also find her on the Tulsa B.O.N.G.com. Yeah, our new website that's opened up. It's getting thousands of hits. I don't actually know if that's true. Well, I just wanted to say that.
Was that a bong joke or a website joke?
No, I just, I want to be able to use the big boy words like we've gone viral.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's not going to be thousands. That'll be like tens and hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, tens of,
But for sure.
Yeah, we put a video up. It's gone viral. They sent us a $20 million check.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm dyslexic and put it in the wrong account. So there's some guy at the bank over here he's really excited. I hate it when that happens. All right, Kristi Bridges, in a short overview, tell us what is One Moment Wiser.
Sure. So One Moment Wiser is a combination of things, but mostly it's about helping Christians share their stories and helping everybody on a day-by-day basis just grow in wisdom, kind of, do those constant tiny tweaks that keep us on course and living lives we actually want to live instead of getting ourselves into misery.
Yeah, I want to live a life I don't need a vacation from.
Yes, exactly.
I kind of want to be the person my dog thinks I am.
There you go.
I've got pretty easy goals. So we met through the B.O.N.G group, right?
We did. Actually, we met at dinner because I was with a friend of mine who had been telling me about B.O.N.G, and bada bing, you and Katie walked right through the door.
Where was that?
That was at
Zeke's?
BJ's on 71st Street.
Yes.
And we were sitting there talking. I'm sitting there with 4 other people who have all met you except me. And all they've been talking about lately is B.O.N.G events and meeting people through B.O.N.G. And then pow, there you are.
And credit to all those members. I get a lot of credit. People say these things and they're nice, but they're false.
What?
And they're completely false. And we did start the B.O.N.G.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't build it. The community built itself.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've got some great things we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to start with the big one.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to jump right in.
Okay.
You know, like we're reviewing who you are and making sure that we know you so we can present you right to our community and to the community beyond the Bong. But when I kind of got your bio, because I like to dig into people and your story,
Mm-hmm.
and you asked what's probably the single greatest question in Bong history, in the podcast history.
Mm-hmm.
We laughed about this horribly. So I'm just gonna disconnect for a minute. I'm gonna ask the questions and I'm gonna sit back for a couple minutes.
Okay.
How do you know that God exists?
You want to know the truth?
I want to know the truth. I want you to say it.
Farts.
You go on.
I mean, really, who else but a genius with a great personality would have engineered this place with so much humor?
Right.
There's so many just goofy little extras that really, you take a functional thing and then you add the fun to functional, right? And there's more than that. I mean, there's synergy everywhere. My cats, they get petted like way too often because their purr lowers my blood pressure.
Right.
They get fed because their meow sounds like a baby's crying, gets on my nerves. But, they look at creation, and everything that we need is something that we also want. Water.
Right.
We don't sit around going, I have to have 8 ounces of water every day. We book vacations to be near water because the sound of it, the feel of it, the smell of it, it refreshes us. We thankfully can't understand birds speaking and going, oh, I found a twig. Oh, we're building a house over here. Oh, we got babies. But we listen to birds and it's just music to our ears. And so we want to make places for them and preserve them. And then on top of just all the neat synergy and goofy things, there's personal stuff.
Right.
So you can go out in nature and learn so much about God's perspective, but then in our own lives, I can just tell you, God does amazing work. My husband, he's on his 3rd marriage. I'm on my 2nd marriage. And this one looks like it might stick. But we got into it with so much baggage.
Right.
And 15 years in, I was done. We split up for our 2nd time. And people that I thought would understand, because they had been there, were praying for me around the country. And one by one, they started coming to me and saying, Kristi, I think you're going to lose something here. I don't think this is what God is saying. And I was like, shut up.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that.
Right. Why are we talking about this? But the night before our divorce was to be final, God started a miracle. And 10 years later, that miracle is still going.
Still rolling, man. That is awesome.
There's this song I wrote, a few years before that called Mighty with the Willing. And I had been watching this storm roll in at Grand Lake. And it was coming almost like someone was moving furniture across the sky. There was this cloud bank with this line, and it's just gently wielding its way across the sky, and the shoreline is getting closer and closer as the tide comes in. And it made me think, God, you just reshape things little by little with these nudges. And he does that with lives.
Right.
If we just give him a chance.
So I want to make sure I have this right. Farts save marriages.
I will say, yes, I don't care if you're 8 or 82, you're going to laugh when someone farts. You might not laugh when they pull the covers over your head.
I think it's energy conservation. All right, young guys out there in the world, and you're some beautiful woman, she farts too. It's just a thing. And so whether you're 8 years old or 90 years old, unless you've become sophisticated
Oh, yeah. You have to work really hard to be sophisticated.
Farts are funny. I mean, look, I'm 62 years old, and when we have guests over, I can't believe I'm admitting this on, quasi live television. But, I've got one of those speakers and I can play it right from my phone. And when we moved into our house 3 years ago, my daughter was 12 then, and she was kind of grumpy. And so I had to deal with that. Mm. And I meticulously hid the Bluetooth speaker. And we had a bunch of friends over, and so I just lit her up with these, and it was on very loud, and it's a very loud speaker. But I had hidden it, and so I didn't play it twice in a row. I just did it every few minutes. And then she would scream, and I'd hidden it in a way she was never going to find it. Yeah, that's me. Sorry.
Wait, let me understand. You lit her farts? What?
No. I ain't going there. Ain't nobody got time for that. No, I just played some loud fart sounds from my phone into the speaker, and it was placed in this attic room that's right by her bedroom, so it had maximum sound penetration.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and, if I could do better, I would invent smell-o-vision.
Oh.
Just to make it the complete story. But you put two dudes in a room with microphones.
Right.
That can be, well, I'll just let that go. That is the single greatest question, though, that we've ever had on the podcast or in the Bong. How do you know God is real? Yeah.
Find out for yourself.
Now we know the answer. Those are big.
Here it is, episode 101.
It's on the 101, man.
That's right.
We answered all the questions. So, and you gave us some great stuff to work with.
Oh, thank you.
And, because what we're really trying to do is get to know each other. And we can get to know each other mathematically. I'm, 62 years old. I weigh 195 pounds. I'm,
shoe size.
I can't spell my blood type because it's typo.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't have the sound effect. Wasn't ready.
There we go. But that's just mathematically. You don't learn about anybody until you dig in with them. Mm. If you want to learn to know somebody, go on a trip with them. Oh, True. That's the most stressful thing in the world. Nobody should get married until they've been on a overnight trip with somebody that's 3 or 4 days, and it's to a stressful place where you've got like luggage. You'd rather have luggage than baggage, but you can take both. And because I've been on trips with people and they just come unglued.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm like, yeah.
Luggage brings out the baggage then.
Luggage brings out the baggage, and I just got to say, cool story, bro. It's just one of those things.
So you prefer that to the networking meeting where people hand out business cards and walk away and throw away their business cards?
That's come on, can we just? That's nauseating. If you're collecting cards, and go to your office right now. If you've got more than 3 cards, that was a waste of time. People are collecting cards as though there's value, and what they're doing is they're trying to turn their suspects into prospects. Mm-hmm. And man, it just wears me down.
Work avoidance.
It's total. It's a stall.
Yeah.
And so my deal is like, I have like a 1-word closing kind of deal, and it has a question mark on the end. Coffee? I don't know that I've ever had anybody say no.
I love it. I ask people if they want to play pool. We have a pool table in our house that will never leave because I helped get it in the door, and that was a near impossible task.
Yeah.
But Jordan came over, played pool, and ended up with the job to do my book cover. So, a lot more fun than a business card.
These are the interviews I like, that we're actually just talking like humans.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me your favorite business strategy. Buy low, sell high. Cool story, bro. You're dangerous with that thing. Okay, so if the law puts out an APB on you, like it's out, does that mean all points bulletin?
Yes.
I got one right. The law puts out an APB on Kristi Bridges. Mm-hmm. What's the answer to that? How would they describe you?
Bouncy, barefoot redhead on the loose. Apprehend with care. She's protected by 6 cats, 2 dogs, and a husband. Not 2 husbands and a dog.
Oh, okay.
They want their dinner.
This is the no judgment zone. Bouncy, barefoot, redhead.
Yep.
On the loose.
Even on snowy days.
Even on snowy days. Do not confront, call authorities immediately.
That's right.
Did you say 6 dogs?
6 cats, 2 dogs.
6 cats, 2 dogs. The cat-dog ratio is way off.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them are not ours.
Oh, okay.
And I'm wondering if she's got a partridge in a pear tree. I mean, because
I used to have a snake in a cage. Now, that's a cool story. So I met my husband, had a snake. I didn't know until 4 years later that he didn't like snakes. Apparently, he wanted me bad enough that he put up with this snake. I did notice that he used to get, like, really connected to the rats, though.
Wow.
And he was real excited when a friend of ours said, "Hey, can I have your snake?" He's like, yeah, Dave really needs that.
Nice. Okay. So I'm just going to throw right down to the bottom line. Have you ever committed a crime?
Not intentionally.
Not that I've been charged with.
Okay, so what happened was, back in my 20s, we had the house where all the college kids hung out.
Okay.
And I'd get ready for school in the morning. I'd step over bodies, breathing bodies.
Right.
But
thank you for clarifying.
just in case, when my ex-husband split, we all had to pack up and leave.
Right.
And in one of my boxes, I found, dun, 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 a stolen book.
Ooh.
I know, right? Oh, big crime.
Wow.
But it was a stolen book. My friend's dad had stuck it there. And he told me, "Kristi, the guy who owns this, he won't even know it's missing. But you," and he put his hands on my shoulders and he said, "You are going to be blessed." And that book was Philip Yancey's The Jesus I Never Knew.
Okay.
I'm reading this book and I'm realizing that my future did not vanish with my husband. And that someday I was going to write a book that expressed the heart of God the way Yancey did.
Right.
Now, it took almost 20 years, but I have now published an album, 6 books, 2 courses.
Wow.
So thank you, Mr. Yancey. And if you lost a book in Lakeland, Florida in 1997, come get it.
We got it.
Yeah. So you stole a book.
Yeah,
It's you got to put that behind you. Turn the page.
Wow.
Nothing. I get no machinery for that.
Well, I mean, I was ready for something else. So
Okay. Well, tell you what, we're going to do something else. We're going to do a studio message, and we'd like to hear from one of our sponsors.
Sounds good.
this episode is sponsored by Kenneth Baucom Photography. Hi, my name is Kenneth Baucom, and I'm here to help you bring your awesome ideas to life. I specialize in helping businesses explode their online presence through professional photography, video, and virtual event production with a rapid turnaround. It's commercial photo and video services with a personal touch. Learn more at kennethbaucom.com.
Well done, sir. Thank you very much. We are here today with Kristi Bridges, and you can find her at onemomentwiser.com. That's the number 1, momentwiser.com if you want to learn more about her. She is an artist, an author. She sings, she writes. I mean, that's a lot going on in there.
I have a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we actually asked this question at last year's Bong prom, and it went so very well. Describe your perfect day.
Okay, so this is funny because earlier you said something about you don't need a vacation.
Right.
And I actually was on staycation once describing, I was like, I should be independently wealthy. Well, if I was independently wealthy, what would that look like?
Right.
And I described my life. So,
Okay.
But no, I think, okay, so you brought me back to these college days. And back in college, we would sit up all night long on the screened-in porch talking theology and smoking these wooden pipes like we're C.S. Lewis and company.
Like the kind of the...
with the tobacco that your grandpa did, right?
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. And so then when I moved to Oklahoma, I would hang out on somebody else's porch at the lake and sing the blues with some amazing musicians. Oklahoma's got great guitarists.
Yeah.
And that time I actually wrote a song called Porch about someday I wanted to just hang out on heaven's porch, singing and dancing with King David, right?
Wow. Okay.
And so I think if I had a perfect day, it would probably start out with a solo hike or a swim with just me and God and end up on somebody's porch.
Got it.
Singing, dancing, talking theology, not smoking pipes. I want to keep my voice this time.
Okay. So in our scenario, Chen Doan was our co-host.
Yeah.
And we had maybe rehearsed this a little bit. And I was actually going to do a wardrobe change for the event. And so it said, hey, Chen, it's kind of the same question, but I said, describe your perfect date.
Ah.
And she said, oh, that would be April 26th.
I love her already.
It was from a movie about pageants, and one of the contestants answered, oh, that would be April 26th because the weather is such that you might only need a light sweater. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. The perfect time for a date. And it was awesome. Like, she stole the show. Like,
Perfect.
me continuing on as the MC that night was pointless. But I never let, hopeless turn me into something. But so you mentioned music a couple times.
Yeah.
And you play music as well?
I don't play nearly as well as my taste in music. So
Okay.
I write songs and sing.
Right.
At the moment, just time-wise, I'm not doing that a whole lot, but I still stay in touch with my musician guys.
What kind of music do you write?
So I've done, like I said, Tulsa has amazing musicians.
Yes, they do.
So I was with a couple of Latin jazz bands, and I did a lot of blues. And then my favorite band was Goliath Down.
I don't know that one.
These guys were, and I'm still in touch with these guys, but we did all original stuff, Christian rock, like Southern rock kind of long guitar solos that I just rewind and play again, and really funky bass lines that the guitarist was always telling the bass player, calm down. I'm like, do it more. And a really fantastic drummer. I never knew drummers could be like actual musicians until I met this guy. And he was just an orchestrator. He was phenomenal. So I don't know. I'm still
So you're a singer then?
pretty much in love with that band. Yep, I sing.
Okay. So what has been like your favorite musical influence? Like, I was born in the 60s, and I listened, my parents were listening to the Stones and Led Zeppelin and Ray Charles and
Ray Charles is great.
Oh, yeah. God is love and love is blind, and Ray Charles is blind. Therefore, Ray Charles is...
Oh, gosh.
That was some of my early theology. And it did not come to pass. But, I love Ray Charles.
Nice.
And, that's when you grow up listening to something, it becomes part of you. What were you listening to as a kid?
As a kid. So my dad was into a lot of that same stuff.
Okay,
and
cool. That's
my
so cool.
stepdad, too. So I had a lot of Doobie Brothers and America and Led Zeppelin. And I don't know. I think Doobie's probably influenced me a lot. Oh, and Skinner.
Oh, yeah.
Love me some Skinner.
Yeah.
And blues. I'm just down at the bottom of it all. Anything that I sing comes out sounding like blues.
Yeah, well, Led Zeppelin, they copied all their songs from Willie Dixon, who was a blues singer in the 30s.
Yeah.
I felt ripped off the first time I heard that. Like, wait a minute, how did this guy steal from Led Zeppelin, but he died in 1947? And then you go listen to Willie Dixon. Oh, my goodness, that... Like, I don't know how much soul you need, but and I mean, he was just legit.
Yeah.
And probably never knew how far his music went.
I love that we can take, like, the greatest of all the different stuff that's influenced us and use it.
Yeah.
Put that stuff to work. Keep it going.
Ooh, I like that. Put music to work. And music does a thing.
It does. It's funny because I do presentations once in a while. I do like live workshops, and I actually am able to bring some of my songs, even though I'm not working, with the musicians on a regular basis anymore. I'm actually able to bring some of those old songs in to demonstrate points and just to get the audience kind of snapping along.
Well, at our B.O.N.G group, we play loud music.
It's fun.
And I do it with a purpose. And I mean, there's a mathematical purpose as well. But you get a bunch of people in a room and you look around, and even the people who are griping about how loud it is are tapping their feet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you stop tapping your feet, I'll turn it down.
And when you're standing in a crowded room, but you can shake your hips a little bit, then,
Yeah, it just gives some text, I don't know, just it makes the room more relatable. And it gives it a kind of a subtext, like, and, like we play the B.G.s, and I don't know, I have so much fun picking out the music. Like, I have an event that I get to work on, and big part of it's the music selection.
Nice.
So, like, I feel like, what was the guy, Rick, something DJ in the 70s and 80s? Anybody remember him?
Oh, Rick Steves.
No, it was another one, but anyway.
Oh, wait, not Rick Steves.
He had beautiful hair, and I'm sure he could dance and all that kind of stuff. So the first book that you wrote was about Proverbs.
Yes.
How did that arrive?
So when I'm 10 years old, I'm going to see my grandparents. And actually, they lived in Tulsa, so I guess I was coming to see my grandparents because I lived in Florida at the time. And I was going to spend the month of July with them. And my mom gave me an assignment. She said, 31 days in July, there's 31 chapters in Proverbs. I want you to read a chapter a day.
Okay.
And that's probably about the same year that I started noticing that a lot of adults don't really use any of that wisdom that's in there.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes when we just follow our heart without actually aligning our heart, we end up in misery.
Right.
And over the years, I've cared about a lot of people who have been in really awful places when it could have just been a minor adjustment back at the beginning, that could have kept them from there.
Right.
And there's this rule in navigation, they call it the 1 in 60 rule, where if you start out flying a plane and you're just a degree off course, then for every 60 miles you go, you get a mile further away from where you want to be.
Right.
And I just feel like Proverbs has all these just little attitude adjustments, little communication suggestions, little lifestyle warnings.
Right.
So if we continuously align, we don't end up way off of where we wanted to be.
Right.
So I wrote Wisdom Better Than Wishing, and I started the 1 Moment Wiser daily devotions online about the same time, just to try to help people, live lives they actually want.
It's amazing how much new information they've put in the Bible since I started reading it. Like, I must have the 84th edition, because, Proverbs just it's tremendous.
It's a wealth.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're 10 or I'm 53 now. I can read Proverbs and find ways that it applies to my life now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a way you can help people. And everything there is rather simple, and we could probably go, talk about that for a while. But you mentioned something a minute ago about being off course, and that a lot of adults are off course.
Yeah.
They're off track for some reason. Maybe they've had an illness and gone a different way.
Yeah.
Have you been off track?
Yeah. So I think the biggest surprise for me was I'm at 52 years old. No, wait, I'm not 53 yet. I'm 52 now. So at 51 years old. Sorry, I just had a birthday and I keep calling myself older.
That's on you. That's not on me or Kenneth.
But last year, I discovered, actually, it was 2022. Well, gosh, I'm doing that thing. I'm obviously older. So I had this year where I had a painful revelation that I was creating relationships wrong.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to help people.
Right.
But I was teaching them to depend on me in ways that I couldn't sustain,
right,
that weren't meant for me. And instead of saying, Lord, what is it you want me to do as my part in this? I was just like, anything goes. Okay, if you need it, I've got it. Yeah, it's not bothering me, until things would just get way out of hand. And then I end up disappointing them. And there's people who talk about church hurt. And I realized
For sure.
I'm the church who's hurting people, not intentionally, but I'm the one Christian in this person's life that, they think they can count on. And then I can't do what they expect me to do because there's no boundaries.
Right.
Thankfully, there's a place in Tulsa called Plumline, actually right next door here.
Right next door, yeah.
Yes, and
I think they're firing up thought I heard the drums beating over there or something.
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
So Plumline has a class called Codependency, real easy name there, and then they have another class called Safe People. And I went to those classes, met some amazing people, but learned stuff that I thought I already knew.
Right.
But then I really learned it, and I'm still practicing, just staying aware of when things feel icky,
Right.
or when things feel like, do I want to be doing this a year from now for this person, or is this something that they should be doing for themselves?
Right.
Or that God has other sources
It's
to
for them to
provide
heal
for.
themselves, not for you to heal them.
Yeah, and I'm not the only person God uses.
And I don't know the situation. I may be asking that incorrectly, but what a moment to recognize, hey, you're working on something, but it needs an adjustment. It's your heart doesn't need to be adjusted there. It's just maybe you're overlooking one element of it, but it sounds like you figured that out.
Yeah, still working on it. But yeah, just you got to be sensitive to what your heart is saying.
Okay. So you're an entrepreneur at heart, but do you have a corporate job today as well?
I do.
Okay. Walk us through that.
You bet. Well, I actually teach customer service reps to handle retirement products.
Okay.
And I teach a licensing course for Series 6.
Okay.
And
I've had that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably got several licenses.
It's embarrassing.
It's fun. I never thought I would do anything to do with math or, boring stuff ever. And it's really not boring because it's another way you can kind of help people build a career for themselves, help people find financial sustainability. And I love the creative part too.
Very cool. I did not know you did that. This is eye-opening.
It's kind of cool. God has used this position to teach me so much that I have used in One Moment Wiser.
Wow.
But just the time management for one thing, but it's fun.
So what's coming down the road in 2024?
I thought you'd never ask. Oh my gosh. Okay, so today I hit the button.
Uh-oh, hang on. Which button?
The publish button.
Oh, okay.
So today I hit the publish button on my new book, The 3 a.m. Book, When Divorce Keeps You Up All Night.
Oh my gosh.
And because, 25 years ago, I went through that divorce where I found the stolen book. And you just don't forget how painful that is.
Yeah.
And how many stupid mistakes you make just trying to cope and renegotiate life. And a couple of years ago in 2021, I had planned on starting this book. I'm like, okay, it's time. I'd already written a couple of devotionals. But then my life came to just a screeching halt that September. And we did a big shift to pay attention to some things that we needed to take care of.
Right.
And this last year, I was like, Lord, I'd really like to do this book. And I think that it really needs to have an excellent group study attached to it because divorce is so isolating and isolation is deadly. I think it's something like 8.9 times as many men commit suicide after divorce. Isolation is deadly.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Lord, I want to do this and I want to do it right. And he plopped me into a room on New Year's Eve full of therapists and people who were just perfectly equipped to work with this. And all year long, he kept bringing me people, even to the point where this guy, my husband, was like, we need to work on our floors. Let's call somebody. I'm like, right now? He's like, yeah, let's call him. And the guy who came over ended up being in the book because he had this amazing story.
Wow.
And amazing story. And you'll have to read the book to find it. But all year long, God just brought me the people I needed. And so we are finalizing the best group study I've ever done. And it's going to be ready for churches and community groups to offer
That is
their
awesome.
communities.
Wow, what a contribution. In my line of work, I have been through 200 divorces. I not me personally, but, and in 42 years, it's not that many. It's about 5 a year.
That's awful,
But
though.
I've been through, nearest I can count, maybe even a little bit over 200. And most of the times, it's people I know really well.
Yeah.
And, we've seen all the different patterns of what's going on. I wrote a book about it. And I'm not here to plug me, so that'll have to wait. But I'd like to share a copy with you when we leave. So
I would really like that.
It's a weird world. My mom was a single mom.
Yeah.
Lots of my friends are single, and the dynamic is, it's brutal.
It is.
And divorce and death. Half the marriages end in divorce, and the other half end in death.
Yeah.
And so that's not a very good sales pitch.
But I'll tell you, marriage can be good.
Oh, marriage is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love being. There's nobody I'd rather be with on a daily basis than my wife, and then Kenneth would be second on that list.
Thank you.
Go
But,
Kenneth.
hey, we're good.
Yeah.
But there is a giant population that needs to be served in a meaningful way with how to reclaim your lifestyle, and that's what you were just talking about.
I ended up in bankruptcy after my divorce.
Many do.
And so in the group study, I actually have a financial planner talk, because I think we can, even the wisdom we already know, we need to be reminded of and reminded that it's possible to make good decisions.
Right. So we're going to trade tips here.
Yeah.
And it's going to be about divorce.
Okay.
Do you have a tip, just one tip? Short, we're running out of time, but is there one tip you'd have for a divorcee, male or female?
For a divorcee.
Soon to be divorcee. Let's go that.
Absolutely. Well, I would say slow down and lean into God. You need wisdom that you're just not likely to have at the moment, because our brains we're not always trustworthy.
No, true. Yeah, and I love be still and know that I am God.
Yeah.
And when you are in front of something that's going to hurt more than you imagine, usually, and it can have health and financial and social implications to the max. Mine was this, just after working with so many women, 90% of them, the husband left the marriage. And I began to watch what happened. So here's my tip. If you think you're about to get divorced, change every password. Change every password now. If you're talking about it, change every password now. And I've had these groups of women go, well, I don't want to make him mad. He's divorcing you.
Right.
And that's not usually about anger. Sometimes it is. But, there needs to be some
accountability.
There needs to be a way that's standard operating procedure for women, because people talk about it forever. And, then it ends up being a last resort. And of those 290% were women. The majority were 45 to 54. Their youngest kid was 16 to 19. And the husband just got a, red sports car. And it just became this pattern. And then all of a sudden, you go, this is a bigger problem than just marriage. It's societal, where divorce is an option.
Yeah.
And man, I'm so glad you're working in that field. All right, you got a tip for business owners, a nugget?
Oh, I do.
Okay, do we want to introduce this appropriately?
Well, I think it probably would be appropriate to give it the background music it deserves.
Hold
and
tight.
Tell people
You'll know when.
They're about to get Biz Bites. Biz Bites. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're about to rock the business world with this hot tip.
87.4 FM Soul, rocking you from the back of my automobile.
Biz Bites.
Do something you enjoy. That would be my tip. Find something that you want to keep doing and that you would do even if nobody pays you, because sometimes it takes a little while. And stick
I think
with it.
we just went through that.
And do it with God. He wants to do things with you, and He's a wonderful partner.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
That was a double tip.
That was a double tip. Very good. We call it Biz Bites.
Uh-huh.
And we made up a whole list of what these are. Biz Bites is.
I want to hear this music again.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Miss Bites? Miss Bites?
I feel like I need to be doing something.
Doing the wave there.
All right. This is beautiful music, man.
Thank you, brother.
I want to go home. All right, that is a wrap here for Cash Flows. Kenneth, what a great journey we're on. 101 shows under our belt right now, and not all of them as serious as this one was. That's right. That could go from the other side, but that's going to be a wrap. We're thankful for Kristi Bridges joining us today. Just to repeat, you can find her at One Moment Wiser, the number one momentwiser.com, and learn a little bit about your own spiritual walk. And time for that is right now. And we're thankful, Kristi, that you're here. To our sponsors who keep us alive, and to our friends who keep watching, spreading, and sharing this show, we thank you so very much. And for today, let's be nice to each other. Just be nice to one another. Overlook the tiny little, the hurts that don't really amount to much. Make good choices for your family. And more importantly, today, wouldn't it be great if you could forgive somebody that absolutely didn't deserve it? Like none of us deserve it, yet we are forgiven. And forgiveness, friends, is not about that other person. It is just about you. Cutting the bands, cutting the chains, cutting the anchors that are holding you down. If you get one thing from the Cash Flows episode today, and it is about forgiveness, because we've all been gifted forgiveness at a time when none of us deserve it. And I think you'll get remarkable results. And at a minimum, you'll be happier. Freedom, baby. Mm-hmm. And so to our friends who keep downloading our show and promoting us, we really love you guys. And thank you for that. This show is called Cash Flows. And always remember, this show is for you.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cash Flows.